Alright, you beautiful peoples of the interwebs, Glyn here, and Pro controllers, they're all the rage. I've got this little device here, it's hiding on the back of this controller, literally turns your Xbox Series X S controller into an Elite controller for under £40. In fact, I paid under 30 quid for this, and you can too. There will be links in the description. Not affiliated. I bought this product on my own, but this is the most fantastic product. And I'll reveal what's on the back of this after this little intro. See you in a bit. So what exactly is it that's living on the back of this controller that I'm on about? Before we go, I'll go to the box in there, but let's just show you. It's called Armour X. Armour X Strike Pack. And it only fits an Xbox Series X or Series S controller, which is basically the newer versions of the Xbox controller. There's a little box. We'll go and unbox that now. And here's the price I bought it for. You can see it on here, $27.99. It's not available anymore from this seller, but I have seen it. I think you can get there's two versions of this, by the way, before we go into anything. There's a gyroscopic version, and there's also a non-gyroscopic version, which is what I got, which is why it was a little bit cheaper. But I have seen, I think it's AliExpress. I'll put a link in the description, but they are selling. It takes a few weeks for it to arrive, but for about 30 quid you can actually get the gyroscopic version. So I don't know if I'll order that or not bother. I'm not really into gyroscope aiming, but if you are, maybe that would be anyway. Oh, like I was saying earlier, that you can get it from AliExpress. So here it is. They've got the Pro white version and the Pro black version. 35 quid. I don't know if that's free postage. Says here free postage. I've never really bought much from AliExpress before, so your mileage may vary on there. The difference between the Pro version and the non-Pro version, yes, you've got the gyroscopic aiming, so you can do wiggle it around, just like that sort of thing, but it also has an app. And the app, you can pre-program your macros. Now you can do macros with the non-Pro version, but it's all done by pressing the button and then putting in your little macro and then pressing the button to store it. So that's the main difference between the two. Okay, just thought we'd get that over and done with. Right, we're back over here at the unboxing table. So here's the box, Armour X. We'll have a quick little look around it. I showed you how to connect it. Little picture. There's some more blurb on here. If I had my glasses on, I'd read it for you. Whatever, I'm sure you want to just get a look at what it is in there. So we're gonna now, I will be honest with you, please just unbox. So there we go. This is the second time I'm having to shoot this video, because first time the sound didn't come out. So get rid of the box. First thing, it cops up the back. We've got a USB-C to a USB-A lead. That will be for charging. Your little note instruction manual. We'll have a little, well, I'll have to have a little read of that. I'm sure you don't want to. And it looks like it's in English and Chinese. Fair enough. First things up, we've got a little USB stick. Now this has two functions. One, I can work out how to put a USB together. That will act as a charging brick. Let's get the machine out of the way, a little product out of the way. That'll act as a charging station, but it also your 2.4 gigahertz wireless receiver as well. So let's put that out the way there. And here's the main product itself, the Armour X sort of strike pack. I'm going to call it a strike pack. Here's a previous strike pack from another company. This is Collective Minds, and this was the one for the PlayStation. They did an Xbox version, slightly different design on the Xbox version. I would take this off, but because of the way it was designed, I had to end up screwing it on because it kept flicking off. That was another video I did, quick repair, but I've used it, I've enjoyed it. It's been alright. The best thing about these is you can map a button on the go. So any game you need to quickly map a button, you just press the button and mapped it. Anyway, enough about that. Let's have a little feel of this. So initially we can see there's 5 buttons around here. What they all do, I am not sure, but we'll go back into that when I read the instructions. But ooh, they feel nice. You hear that lovely little click? Now it might annoy some people, but that feels really tactile. Ooh, that feels nice. I said 5 buttons. There's another button there as well. Looks like an on and off switch. That does. I can see the little circle with the line through it. Ooh, these feel good. Now, what I didn't mention about this is it's also a battery pack for your Xbox controller. So Xbox Series X, Series S controller has to be the newer one because of the way it fits. For some reason, Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom again, changed the back door of the controller between the OG Xbox and the Xbox One X to the newer Series X. Why they did it, I don't know. Don't ask me. Why should they have done it? Of course not. They should have just kept the old design. There's nothing wrong with it. Not the controller. The redesign of the controller itself is really good for Microsoft, but why they had to change the little plate that pulls off the back where you put the battery. So essentially this has 2 functions. One, it becomes a rechargeable battery pack, but it also then gives you the added Mac buttons for a reduced cost. And the other thing is, if your joypad starts to drift or whatever, you can just take this off and put it on another one, which is what I liked about the Strike Pack there, because these old PS4 controllers were always likely to drift at some point. So I believe it's a 1300 milliamp hour battery. Doesn't feel that heavy, but apparently it gives you over 10 hours of playtime, which should be enough for most people. I suppose you plug it in there, plug that into a PC, and that will charge it. That's your 2.4 gigahertz wireless dongle. I think I mentioned that already. So keep that on there. Now, of course, one of the main added upgrades here over the older Strike Pack would be, but this has 4 buttons. What you can do with these 4 buttons, I'm not sure, but the next part of this will be the testing and review, which I will spend at least a day, at least 24 hours, this plugged in, and I'll be using it on PC. I'll be trying out games like Apex Legends mostly is one of the ones I play, but I'll try some sort of 8-bit or side-scrolling jumpy games. Actually, I think what am I playing at the minute? I'm playing a remake of Team Sempseen's Alien Breed, and I've had to remap buttons on. I've been using the 8-bit DOE for that. So I'll try this because it's got really awkward controls, that game, so the remap buttons come really handy. So anyway, we'll see what that's like. We'll see what the wireless function is like. If having it wirelessly to this 2.4 gigahertz adds any delay or lag time to the controls, which I hope it doesn't. And we'll basically see if this and the controller, which cost me about £65, works out at a better value and better quality product than the 8-bit DOE, which was about 60 quid. So anyway, we're going to get on with that, and let's go to the other side and we'll see what after the review is finished. Alright, so we're here now on the table. We've got the Microsoft controller. We're going to basically going to take and store that somewhere. You're not going to need this anymore. Let's just check that this is correct. Should be. So now it's a case of taking this off and replacing it with this. Now, I don't think there's anything particularly too tricky about it. It looks like, oh, beautiful, fits in beautiful. And look at it, we even match the white colour quite well. What other colours would be like, I'm not sure. I'd say it's slightly off the Microsoft white. The camera might pick it up as maybe 1 or 2 shades off. This then goes in here, nice and simple. And then for charging, this then going into any suitable charging device, PC or anything like that. So let's have a little look and feel. They're lovely and clicky. I'm not sure if the clicks will come out while I'm not talking because I have a noise suppressor on the microphone, but if I do that while I'm talking, annoying as it is, you should be able to now hear the clicks. So yes, they are quite loud and quite prominent. Let's have a feel. So basically you trigger for one, they're the easier triggers to pull. They're very light on the press. Maybe that might come into the review. Obviously I'm not going to do the full review now, but just to feel. You don't want to be accidentally pressing buttons while you've got them in. But as a whole, that looks quite a nice little unit. That's the only complaint I'd make so far that I've noticed is this is slightly raised. Would feel slightly bulky maybe. But I'm sure it's something that you can get used to. And of course these buttons then, you do them by pushing. So let's say that this would be the finger that would be over here that way, but let's do it. So this would be like maybe trigger a jump. And this would be maybe trigger health regen or something on Apex. And you just push it. You don't want it too tricky to push down. Because obviously you haven't got quite the amount of power pushing your finger out as you have pulling. But anyway, we'll see. I've not really had much experience with 4 buttons, back buttons. So it will be interesting to see what I can achieve using that. Anyway, so that's a lovely clean looking design, and we're going to be using this on the PC. So next thing now, take it over, try it out, and I'll spend a day or two trying the product out, because that's what I'll do, and I'll report back my findings, what I liked, what I didn't like, and all that. So let's go and do that. So this is I'm on the mobile phone because this will be easier, but this is an interesting feature with this, and it's with the dongle. And obviously I've plugged it into the PS5 here. Now I've got a PS4 controller connected. I haven't turned it on. All I've got is the USB wire going in to the back of the dongle and straight into the PS5. And just check this out. Oh no, it's quite hard to do this with one hand. You'll have to forgive me for holding the controller upside down to do this, but let's see if I can get both in at the same time. Nice, I know it's the wrong way, but I'm controlling the PS5 with an Xbox controller. Now, there is one problem with this, which if I can work out how to get back there, we will do now. There we go. We'll start on Apex Legends here. This is the PS5 version, and then you get this come up, look. PS5. So essentially, it's only working as a PS4 controller. PS4 controller, try that one. Now, if I do switch that over to, let's unplug this, forgive me, I'm on doing this with one hand. We've unplugged the PS4 controller, and just out of shits and giggles, I'm going to plug in a PS5 controller. Unfortunately, right, so this is now connected with that wire, same wire, to the PS5. I'll just put this here. But unfortunately, that doesn't make a difference. But it's got this really weird thing that if I hold the, what we call the hamburger button, just watch this PS5 controller now. I'm just going to hold this hamburger button. Look, it just turned the PS5 controller on. So there's obviously something, information coming back through to the PS5 controller. And although I've got that turned on, essentially the control is only from PS5 controller. So that is weird. It would have been lovely if you could have plugged the PS5 controller, left it like you could this, if it could, the same functionality of this, plug it in, but with the PS5 and then use this controller. Oh my god, that would have, like, well, they'd save hundreds of pounds. So you wouldn't have to buy the back buttons. These back buttons would now work instead of having to buy one of those really expensive DualSense Pro controllers. But if you've got PS4 games that you're using, and maybe you just use the PS4 version of Apex Legends, then that's a way around it. But of course, you know, you can get the back button attachments on a DualShock 4 anyway. It's just a shame maybe they could update this or bring an updated version of this little dongle out. But I just thought I'd bring that to attention, but you can actually emulate a PS4 controller using an Xbox One controller. Interesting fact. Right, we'll leave that there. A little bit of added information. What's the things I really like about the back button controller on here? Well, there's quite a few things I really like about it, actually. Clicky buttons. It'll be a bit hard to hear it because I've got... Hold on, let me turn the noise suppression off on my microphone. 2 seconds. Right, sorry, there might be some horrible hissy sound, but... You can just hear that... you can just hear that nice clicky sound, so I had to turn the noise suppression off to get that through. That's obviously quite a nice thing. I really enjoy that. The other things I like, well, obviously there's 4 buttons on there. That makes it useful. For Apex, I wasn't using all 4 for Apex. I found sometimes I was actually mispressing. I think over time, I mean, I spent a good 2 weeks using this. I started this quite a few weeks ago, actually, and something happened, so I got a bit lost, sidetracked, essentially, but I have been using it frequently, mostly playing Apex with this particular controller because first-person shooters, things like Call of Duty and Apex, Fortnite, games like that, is where you really these other function buttons come into use. I don't really use the turbo, but it works. It works for any of the buttons. Works great, fine, excellent. Macros. We'll go into that separately on this video. I want to try them out. Don't really use them in games as much, but we'll have a little try. We'll have a mess about with macros later. Right, I don't condone doing this, but obviously I'm not in the game here, but this is auto. This is the sort of thing you can get with. So that is like turbo function, and if I press them both together, let me just come over here and aim it there. As you can see, I'm only holding these 2 buttons down. And that's essentially, I'm giving myself a sort of jitter mode there. Don't condone doing that, but that's what you can do with this. This is just a little bit. And also, I'm going to show you now the function button. So, hold on. I'll start that one again. It's actually doing it also. But I'm going to put auto run on. And press that. See that? It did all that by itself. That's just the macro function. So, and also I'd like to say, you can interrupt the macro functions. So, I'm actually interrupting the macro function there. See, I'm pressing the fire button in the middle. Now, I don't know if you know with the 8-bit DOE, but you couldn't interrupt with the macro function. So I can imagine on Fortnite for doing that quick building. Now, what I will say is a little bit awkward doing it without the app. I'm guessing it'd be much easier to put your own macros on. I don't dare say people have put little lists of different macros that they've programmed ready for you to go and use. But you can put macros in. It's a little bit tricky. If I just show you, you've got to hold the FN button and wherever you put the macro in. So just show you up there. Probably going to be hard to hear me and thing. And the colours will change. Now we're on macro. So if I just wiggle it around there, it's done a macro. If I press the macro button, and I just copy that. Now, it all depends how long the macro lasts. It all depends on how many inputs it puts in. If you're just pressing A and B, you can put a much longer input in. But if you're using the analog sticks, it tends to be 1 to 2 seconds of macro. Okay, so that's the macros, and they work perfectly. What more can you say? Not that I use them, but all's a winner, in it. But of course, the other thing is it turns your normally battery-powered Xbox controller into a rechargeable controller. Quite simple, actually. So if I just I'm just going to pull this out by here. That's what she said. That's what he said. It's a bit hard to do it with one hand. There we go. So essentially this is actually a battery pack as well inside this little piece. I don't know if that'll focus in or not. Camera probably doesn't want to focus in today. But I think I've got it off autofocus, that's why. But essentially there is a battery pack in there. It says 1300 milliamp hours. I've used the controller for a number of hours and I certainly never come close to running out of battery. Does it show me if the battery's full or not? Not really. That's one of those things where your mileage may vary again if you've got the rumbles on full. That's another nice thing as well. You with the function button you can adjust how strong the rumbles are. I like that. That's nice. You can have gentle function and heavy function. I'm sure you can do that within Windows software and within the Xbox software itself. I know you can on PlayStation controllers. You can adjust how much rumble you want. But it's nice to have that function on your hand, available when you need it. The other thing, oh yeah, of course. The other great thing about this is if you start getting drift of your controller, well, you can just take that off and put it on another controller, a bit like the other Strike Pack. And of course, the big difference, the big bonus this one is it's wireless compared to the old Collective Minds Strike Pack. The other big bonus is Collective Minds. If you wanted the full suite of the app and all that, you had to pay for it. Now, this particular one, because it's the lower model, isn't the app compatible. But if you buy the Pro version of this Armour X, you just go to the website, download the app, and then that will allow you to store limitless number of macros. And it's just a case then of transferring the macros. You know, three separate. What's the word I'm looking for? Profiles. You can have 3 separate profiles. So say Apex, you want one for Apex. Quite easily. It's all just done by pressing one of the buttons. It's probably, bear with me while I just get the focus on here. Okay, so a close up here. This is your turbo button. This is your mapping button. So you press that and one of the back buttons together, and then press whatever button you want to map that button. You get a nice little rumble when you do that. Over this side then, that's your profile button, and then you've got your function button. Okay, function button helps you do things like turn the vibration up and down. You can change the speed of the speed of the turbo function as well. So and again, the turbo button is also linked to a button that you want to press. So press turbo and the button, so you can actually put multiple turbos on different buttons at the same time. So why you do that, I'm not sure what games you'd use it for. I don't really use turbos in my games. I just think it's bad practice if you've got to do that. I know how nice it is to. I tell you what, I would use it maybe in a game like Destiny, PvE. You've got a single firing hand cannon, maybe put a turbo function or something like that. No problems with doing that. Anyway, so really loads going on in here, to be fair. Now, I will say I did have problems with it, but the solution was very simple and it was completely my fault. So as you'll see in the unboxing, I bought a brand new controller. Well, guess what Muggins here forgot to do? Without realizing it, you need to have your firmware up to date on your controller. Okay, so one of the first things you do, if you've got a controller, you've been using it all along and you've had a firmware update, you won't have a problem. But because I bought a brand new controller, and obviously it must have been sitting in the box in the warehouse for God knows, I bought it on the Amazon deal. That's probably why they were on cheap, because they've all been sitting around there for months. So essentially I needed to update the controller, and what was happening before I updated was I was getting some random presses, and just some really weird behaviour every now. Not very often. Like most of the time, it's 99% of the time it's working fine. All of a sudden, it'd be like, "Oh, turbo's turned on by itself." I'm sure I didn't press the turbo button, and I hadn't. What it was just once I'd updated the controller, bingo, bango, bongo, fine. Everything worked brilliantly. And of course, they're very simple to update. You can do it in Windows, do it on your Xbox console. So I've gone to my little hand cam here. I just want to show you this plugged in as well. I know this is going to be a really long review, but I need to go over all this stuff. This is a problem with reviewing technical stuff. Anyway, what I really like is this USB. Another thing I really like about this, you can turn it on and off. So that's in search mode now. So when the controller's not connected, it'll flash. There's a little button just on the side of here. Press that, turns it off. Lovely, no messing about. And the other thing is, turn it on. Just press and hold here, and it'll go. And 2 oranges. That's just what the that shows you it's connected. And they're the different function colours. So you got green, red, blue. Well, orange, green, and blue really. So that's cool. I like that. So again, I'll just unconnect that. You can see that's flashing. That would annoy you if you were just sitting on the PC and seeing that flashing all the time. And they thought of putting a little function there to turn that off. Nice little quick one. Just wanted to show that. I'm wondering, do I give it higher than a 9? Because this is almost everything. Let's say one thing I don't like about it. So, because of course I've got to be honest about things. This is the charging port here, and it's charging port C, brilliant. But I have found that when I push the cable in, sometimes, as you just saw there, it can unhook the actual device itself. Now, I'm not going to go too mental on my review and negative of that, but ideally, if they put the charging port at the back, like there's a bit of space there they could have utilised as one of those 2 sides, and then you could have had it on the back, and also you could be able to play while you're charging it. So I keep hitting the mic. With it on the front there, if you've got it on charge, I haven't got a cable long enough. I'll have to simulate it because this isn't a USB-C cable. If you've got it on the front there and you're playing it, it does kind of get in your way when you're playing it. If it was on the back, it'd be much better. Just much better aesthetics. Very, very small gripe. So give it a 9.5, 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, somewhere around there. I'm not going to be jump straight on it. I do need to play with the macros just to test them. So would I recommend this Armour X BigBigWon strike pack thing? Yes, I would, definitely. Fantastic little bit of kit. Really good. Enjoying it. It's my go-to now. If I want to play a simpler game, don't need the back button controllers, I'll just pick up my 8-bit dough off the controller and play on my PC using that for maybe retro stuff. Things like The Witcher or something like that I'll play. But if I'm playing Apex or anything that needs extra buttons, I was using it a lot in... What was I playing recently? Alien Breed, the PC version. There's a problem with the cameras on that. So I was using the back buttons to adjust and control the cameras, and it worked fantastic with that. It really good. Now for the price. Now on Amazon, I will warn you, I think this particular one goes for nearly 70 quid. And I think the one with the gyro, they're basically being price gouged to nearly 90 quid. So essentially, if you want to get these, I'd consider taking the risk of ordering them from AliExpress. I'm pretty sure AliExpress is fine because lots of people order. The only problem is if there's something wrong with that particular product. It's one, it's going to take a month to arrive, but you're going to pay less than half price for it. And 2, if there is a problem with your order, yeah, that's the risk you're going to take. Are you going to pay 3 times the price or 1/3 the price and take the risk? Personally, for 30 quid, I'd probably take the risk from AliExpress. If it was something like 100 quid or more, I'd be like, 30 quid, it's not going to leave you destitute if things go wrong. So anyway, this has been my review of the Armour X Pro by BigBigWon. Weird name, but I mean, that's what they would chose to call themselves. Who am I to make fun of that with my stupid cheap ass name? Anyway, this has been Cheapskate Gaming News, Tech Reviews, and you've been watching my review and proper play test of the BigBigWon Armour X back button controller. Okay, see you next one. Bye now.